Hey everyone, Coach Investor back to another earnings video for you today. So by the time you're watching this video, I've probably already covered Airbnb and Block, and maybe if I had the time, maybe the Amazon video is also live. All of those videos will be in the top right corner. Now in this video, let's talk about probably one of the strongest company in my personal portfolio, but probably in the market as well, and that's Mercadolibre. Time and time again, they go out and they execute like there's no tomorrow. And this quarter was no different. Again, huge beat on revenue estimates and EPS growing in this type of environment at these rates. I mean, it's pretty impressive. So we're going to go over the most important numbers. I do want to talk about the advertising business first, because this is a business, of course, advertising is always very, very useful because gross margin there are extremely high. So it adds a lot to the bottom line. And so here, our advertising business had another strong quarter in Q2 with FX neutral revenue growth above 70% for the fifth successive quarter. Revenue as a percentage of GMV hit 1.6%. We are encouraged to see rising engagement with our advertising platform, with a large part of the quarter's revenue growth driven by an increase in the number of sellers using our product as service. And this will just grow as the overall business grows as well. They are in multiple markets in Latin America, in Mexico. I mean, those are emerging markets, of course, monetization-wise, especially with ads. It's not as high as the United States or in Europe, but hey, it's a very, very good start. Now, with regards to the overall look of the company, it has a market cap right now of $65 billion, a PE of 65 times in the next 12 months. Free cash flow right now, you're paying 15 times free cash flow, which is in the next 12 months, which is not that expensive, especially not if you see how fast this business is growing. Now, as for sales and EPS estimates for fiscal year 2023, sales 30% growth, EPS 80% growth. Those are the estimates for this year. Next year, sales close to 20%, EPS 32%. Fiscal year 2025, sales growth 23%, EPS 38% still. I mean, it is pretty impressive how much growth this company still has left, especially if you look at the graph here. In the last 10 years, you would have 10x'd your investment. And in my opinion, there's a very, very big possibility that this will 10x again in the future. When that will happen, I don't know. But the way things are going with this business, I mean, it can become one of the biggest, if not the biggest company in Latin America. And maybe even the world, who knows? Top 20, top 15 could happen. And for those that will ask in the comments, yes, it is in my portfolio. And right now, well, it can fluctuate day to day, but it's in the top 5, if not top 4 of my positions. And so let's start. By the way, this is a new layout. I was very, very surprised to see this. This is a new layout from their earnings presentation. So GMV, we can see Argentina growing the fastest there. They say here strong GMV growth with Brazil solid and Mexico accelerating. Strong GMV growth in Mexico was driven by new buyer growth reaching its highest level for 2 years, held by a well-executed hot sale event. Growth in Brazil continues to be broad-based, with all categories making a strong contribution to overall GMV growth of 25%. As for items sold, that's year-over-year growth that you're seeing here. So items sold accelerated for the third consecutive quarter. Mercadolibre sold an additional 50 million items year-over-year in Q2, selling more items than in last year's Q4. And as for the unique buyers and successful items shipped per buyer, that has also increased this quarter, and it grew 17% year-over-year. As for the logistics business, Mercado Envios, so same-day delivery, next-day delivery, keeps increasing very, very nicely here. So over 100 million same-day and next-day shipments in Q2 with penetration at record levels. And this is important here. So fulfillment by Meli, which is Mercadolibre, grew once again and reached a record level with over 46% penetration. All markets with fulfillment operations posted higher penetration year over year, with Brazil showing the most progress. Again, this is a full suite of solutions that they're offering. And the bigger that they become, the more difficult it will become for a competitor to come in and disrupt them, because they have the whole ecosystem. Then with regards to the fintech, so Mercado Pago, acquiring and digital account TPV, so total payment volume, they say here acquiring TPV sustained growth across all geographies and product. Digital account TPV growth continues to grow rapidly. As for unique fintech active users, that has reached a new milestone by surpassing the 45 million users in a quarter, largely due to the increased adoption of the remunerated account in Brazil. Then as for the credit side of things, so net interest margin after losses, or NIMAL, reached 36.8% in Q2, showing both a quarterly and an annual expansion. This can be explained by the following four things here. So total portfolio maintained the same low single-digit pace of dollar growth as the previous quarter, still driven by Mexico's consumer and Brazil's credit card books. Number two, revenue growth due to accelerated originations in the Mexican consumer book and repricing in the Argentinian book to maintain bottom line spread. Number three, bad debt decrease due to shift in originations and portfolio growth from Brazil to lower risk Mexican consumer book and continued improvement in credit card asset quality. And the last one, continued measured approach to credit card originations with encouraging Q2 results in terms of profitability and delinquency. And so with all of that said, net revenues increased 57% year over year on an FX neutral basis. Income from operations and margins, so you have $558 million in income from operations and 16.3% margin, operating margin, that is a huge jump quarter over quarter and year over year. As for consolidated net revenue per quarter, you can see here the difference between Brazil, Argentina, Mexico, and the others. They say here all geography segments delivered revenue growth above 20% year over year in US dollars. As for the e-commerce take rate, year over year growth here, so we went from 16.4% in Q2 of last year to 18.4% in Q2 of this year, which is also higher than the 17.8% last quarter. As for the fintech take rate, this is down a little bit. This year, fintech revenue growth remained high but slowed as it lapped the 2022 peak of credit growth. So we see here fintech take rate 3.95% in Q2 2022. In the same quarter this year, 3.52%, which is also lower than in Q1, 3.68% there. Big impact here can be seen by credit revenues. Now, before I go over the margins, if you enjoy this type of videos, leave it a thumbs up, subscribe if you have not, would really appreciate that. We're trying to reach 30,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So thank you very much for all the support. And if you want to support me even further, do check out the link down in the description and in the pinned comment to get the top 10 best stocks to buy now, or go to fool.com/couchinvestor. Thank you very much. So, gross profit margin, we see here 100 basis points increase year over year from 49.4 to 50.4%. They say our gross margin expansion driven by cost dilution and efficiencies, as well as lower point of service device sales. As for income from operation margins, this year the 6.7 percentage points margin gain was broad-based across geographies and business lines. And then another huge improvement here, so net income margin from 4.7% to 7.7%, so a 295 basis points expansion year over year. And this is despite a high tax rate and a hit with regards to foreign exchange. As for cash flow and leverage, so total cash for Q2 this quarter was $3.82 billion. As for last year, that's $3.52 billion, so a nice little increase there of around $300 million. Then they say cash flow from operation amounted to $1.41 billion, fueled by robust quarterly income from operation and strong working capital management. And so what's there to add? Another flawless executed quarter by Mercadolibre, by their management. Really one of the best management teams that there is right now that you can invest in. You can see their track records, watch their interviews, read the quarterly reports. I mean, truly a tremendous business. Of course, do share your thoughts down in the comments below. Yes, I do agree that for some people that can't buy fractional shares, buying Mercadolibre, one share is $1,300 or so. So yes, it's a bit expensive, but you have to look at the business. The business itself is just incredible. Of course, do share your thoughts down in the comments below. If you enjoy this type of videos, leave it a thumbs up, subscribe if you have not, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.